and eat it, then it's not in the category of chametz anymore. But if it doesn't spoil completely, you can't eat it, but the dog can eat it, then it's still the category of chametz. Then you have something that's called chametz nuksha. Chametz nuksha, where does chametz nuksha? Chametz nuksha means nuksha kosher, hardened chametz. Chametz nuksha is chametz that was never edible. It speaks about when you make a dough and it begins to rise, but it didn't. Can you read it? Yeah, chametz nuksha. Yeah. Let's make a dough. It starts to rise, but it doesn't rise completely. It begins to rise, then it becomes that's chametz nuksha. Meaning, I don't know if you may have had that experience. If you're baking, it starts to rise, but you don't let it rise completely, and you bake it. It's like you bake it, and it's like hardish. It's like you can eat it, but it's like if you have nothing to eat, you'll eat it, so you don't starve. But it's difficult to eat. That's chametz nuksha. Chametz nuksha is prohibited rabbinically. Then you have chametz nuksha. Then you have the same thing, chametz nuksha, but mixed into something else, which becomes even more lenient. And then you have like this. We have chametz nuksha mixing into, let's say, medications that are not food. Like a pill that you swallow is not food, because some say, I've seen opinions that say because you swallow it, it's not called food, but that's not really, many opinions hold that's still called food. Interesting halacha, if you swallow matzah on Pesach, you fulfill the obligation. It's called eating. But the point is, the reason why generally pills, medications are not called food, it's not food. If you would chew it, it's gross. It's like it's not a food. So there is a leniency over there when it comes to Pesach, being that it's not in the category of food. So if you have, let's say, chametz mixed into it. Now, I want to give you also the practical application. So practically, medications, if they have chametz in there, it's usually not in the active ingredients, it's in the inactive, meaning in the binder. That's usually where the chametz is. But I want to give you a broader picture. So let's say the chametz is inside is part of the active ingredient, right? Now, there's two possibilities. Either it's chametz nuksha that they mixed into it, then there wouldn't be any issue. It's not a food. But many times the chametz in other words, in the rare situations that they do use real chametz in the medication, meaning not just in the binder, but in the active ingredient, right? You're following this active and active, you're getting it? They use chametz. Many times it will be edible chametz to start with. But now, once you mix it in, it's not edible anymore because you mixed it with other stuff, and it's not. It's for medication. You use it, but it's not really a food. So, if let's say the chametz is in the active ingredient, that means the chametz is part of the medication, then it will be an issue. Okay. Now, what do you mean an issue? If you need to take the medication, and for medical reasons you have to take it. We're talking about if a person doesn't really need to take it, it becomes an issue because there is an interest in that. When you have an interest in something, it doesn't become nullified. It becomes important to you, even though essentially the way it's now, it's not food. And actually, in terms of destroying the chametz, you don't actually have to destroy it. You could have it in your possession. In other words, there's two things we're tackling here. There's having it in your possession and eating it. It's two separate things. They're connected, obviously, but that's what it's saying. If you have a medication, let's say, that has chametz in it, and the way it's mixed into it, it's not edible. Of course, you use it for medical reasons. You can take it. It's not really a food. You can have it in your possession. You don't have to destroy it. Taking it is an issue. You're not supposed to be taking it. I mean, unless you really need to, because being that you're interested in the chametz that's inside, because the chametz is an active ingredient, so it's an issue. You shouldn't take it unless you have to. But if the chametz is not in the active ingredient, the chametz is in the inactive ingredient, chametz is in the binder, which is usually the case. The chametz is inside the binder, so you're not really interested in the chametz. The chametz is not the medicinal part. You're not interested in that. So then there's no real issue taking it because you're not interested in the chametz. Yeah, but the chametz is there. Yeah, but the chametz is not edible, and you have no interest in it. The chametz becomes nullified to everything else. There's no interest in that chametz because it's just the binder, and it's not edible. So therefore, halachically, there is no prohibition with taking that medication on Pesach if the chametz is in the binder. Now, yeah.
How would you know? It would like say the ingredients on it.
So how would you know? Okay, so I have a list. Right. So basically, I have a list of ingredients that I can share with you. Now, in general, not always can you go by the list of ingredients. If you're talking about things that are more like vitamins that are food, you can't just go by the ingredients because they're allowed to put in something if it's less than 2%. You don't have to list down the ingredients, and if it's less than 2%, it could still be. It's not necessarily a 60 against it, so it could still be an issue. So even though it's not on the ingredients, it could still be chametz in there. Now, when it comes to medications, which is much less of an issue, it's not such a major issue because anyways, medications, there's leniency to it. I'm just mentioning in terms of, let's say, if you check ingredients in terms of sometimes vitamins.
I'm so sorry. That's the app to find out.
I had a little pen of profit, it's made me think of so much.
Sorry.
What they're saying. Right. So I'm saying that the vitamins, let's say when it comes to vitamins, food, things like that, vitamin is a food. So when it comes to that, you can't just look on the ingredients because less than 2% they're off the list. When it comes to medications, it's not, you could pretty much go by the ingredients because anyways, the medications is usually not an issue because the issue is with usually the chametz is in the binder, and halachically, the binder is not a problem because you're not interested in the binder, and the binder is not edible. Now, if it's not edible, anyways, so what's the difference between the binder or if there's chametz if there's actual chametz inside? So we're saying if the chametz is part of the active ingredient, it could be an issue because you're interested in that. But if it's not edible, if it's totally inedible, why should we care about it? Right? You follow what I'm saying? If it's totally inedible, why do we care if there's chametz inside? So there's different ways how it could be. Like I mentioned, you can have sometimes that the chametz that's inside that they put in is to start with edible chametz that was mixed and now became inedible because you mixed it inside. But to start with, you put in chametz that was never really edible chametz. It's just flour thing that was never food to start with. To start with, never been turned into edible chametz. So to start with, it was chametz nuksha. So when it's that type of chametz, then there is no issue. Now, even if if let's say you have an interest, now there's something we mentioned already that if you have maybe I didn't mention it. If you have an interest in it, like this, let's start with a classical example in halacha. A classical example. It's kind of a funny halacha. Chametz that spoils, And supposed to the extent that a dog can't eat it. We said it's not chametz, right? But now, you can have any possession, there's no problem, it's not food. Then what if this person decides to eat it? Like I said, it's a strange halacha, but that's his halacha. The person decides he's going to eat it. He wants to eat it. Because he's interested in eating it, it becomes food. And rabbinically, now it's privileged because you have an interest in eating it. Right? You have an interest in eating it, so it becomes rabbinically in the category of food. But now you're eating chametz and Pesach rabbinically. Now, if you have chametz inside your medicine, actual chametz, but it's not edible, right? Now, let's say we're going to discuss a case where the chametz was never edible to start with. It was like more like chametz nuksha, now mixed inside. So now, when you have an interest in this chametz, right now the chametz is sort of not edible. Is this considered now, it becomes like food because you have an interest in it? According to what I just said, it should be an issue because if you have an interest in the chametz, it's an active ingredient, it should be a problem, right? But it seems that many, or actually most opinions hold that it's not an issue. Why? Because when do we say if you have an interest in it, now it goes to the category of food. If you had an interest in eating it, you don't have an interest in eating this. You're interested in it because of the medicinal qualities that it has. Not because, you decided that I want to eat it, even though it's disgusting, but I want to eat it. You're just interested in the medicinal qualities that it has. So therefore, many opinions are going to hold, even in that case, when you have an interest in this medicine, and the medicine actually has chametz that's an active ingredient, many opinions will say it's not an issue because that's not called, you have an interest in the food. You get it? In other words, we said before, if you have an interest in the food, then it goes to the category of food because you're interested in it. So rabbinically, it's like food. But over here, many opinions say, even though you're interested in the medication, you're not interested in okay, now I want to eat this. I'm interested in eating this food. No, you're interested in taking the medicine because of the medicinal qualities it has, not because for you now it's considered like a food. For me, I could eat it. That's not what it is. So most opinions are going to say, many opinions at least will say, that it's not an issue. Other opinions, actually, my father is sort of strict about this because there are other opinions that say that it is an issue because you have an interest in it that now becomes the category of food. Okay, so let's simplify what we're saying and put it into simple words. You have medication, let's say, that has chametz in it, and the chametz is part of the active ingredient. And you're only interested in it now. The chametz itself is not edible. Now, if the chametz originally, right? So again, we're going to divide two categories. Usually it's not the case. Let's say if the medication, they put in actually edible chametz that was edible food and mixed into it, now it's like medication, and the chametz is active ingredients, then actually that would be a problem. You will not be allowed to eat it. I said before, not that, okay? What I said before, that it's not an issue, you're just interested in medicinal qualities, that's in essence, it's not edible. It's just not an edible food. When it got into it, it was not edible. Now we say, in other words, it never was in the category of edible food. You put it as flour went in there, which was never edible to start with. And now the flour ended up turning into something that's not edible. In other words, it was never food they could eat. Now it makes it something else. And let's say it is an active ingredient, but many opinions will say, even though it's active ingredient, but you have no interest in that. It's not like you're interested in eating this, you're interested in medicinal quality. Other opinions will be strict. Now, okay, but now let's simplify it more. Let's bring it up practically these days. Most medications are only the binder has chametz in it. And being the binder has chametz, then according to everyone, it's not going to be an issue because you're actually not interested in it at all. It's not doing anything. there are those that are still going to be strict. So the bottom line is, in applying it practically, medications, well, most medications, only the binder is chametz. According to halacha, there's no problem taking it. Should it be strict? It says Yisrael Kedosh Shemem, Jews are holy, and we try to be strict to stay away from these medications that could have chametz. That's why we have a whole list of chametz. But at the same time, we're being told that if the doctor says you need to take it, medically, you need to take it. Okay, you need to take it as a relative. I need to take it, but medically, not just for comfort. It's important for your health to take it. Then you have to take it. There's no question. And because halachically, there's no problem. It's only that when it comes to chametz, we want to be careful as much as possible. Now, I have a list of the ingredients over here that are. Read through it.
Yeah.
Read through it. Just so you have an idea.
Is it on? Can we just?
I should have.
Take a picture.
I should have copied it.
Actually, yeah, wait, hey, if you give it to me, I can take a picture and send it over.
Yeah, great.
That's
Okay,
actually.
yeah.
Wait.
So it's the bottom. It's the bottom part.
Coming to what's that radio?
By the way, tongues are okay because it's kidneys. Now, again, anything that's kidneys, now a lot of things have issues with it. Now to Pesach, it's kidneys, right? There's chametz, there's kidneys. Kidneys means if it's corn, beans, rice, millet, buckwheat, peanuts is also questionable. Anything that has that is kidneys, which we don't use on Pesach. But for that, we can be even more lenient when it comes to vitamins. Meaning, when it's chametz, when it's issue of chametz, and so we stay away from it unless we need to. With kidneys, if it's something that's important for your health, even though there's no danger involved, but it's for health reasons, to make you stronger, whatever, something that you feel that it's important for you, then kidneys is okay. Again, if something that's, it has to be something that's actually important, not just general health, which you could skip a week and nothing will happen and you want to stay away from it. And in general, you could also find out, basically, step one is to find, a lot of times you find a certain vitamin that has kidneys in it, but there's an alternate vitamin that doesn't have, so you could, before Pesach, you do research, you find out, okay, so you buy this vitamin that doesn't have kidneys in it. Yeah, now you will find other opinions that will say that if the chametz, right, so for example, the Alter Rebbe holds, okay, this is not so relevant, let's move on. Okay, is there any specific questions? No. Yeah.
I'm not necessarily know what's in there, but like, I think it's also really common, so people that carry it, you can really.
They should hold it, because nefesh, they have to hold it. Again, all these things, whatever chametz is in there is not edible. There's no.
But like, there's not an idea of benefiting from it.
Yeah, whenever it's in the category that you don't have to destroy it, like for example, all these medications, even the medication, let's say, even the medication has chametz that's an active ingredient that we said you're not supposed to take because you're interested in that, right? If it has chametz that's actually was edible before it went in, even that you don't have to destroy. And whenever you don't have to, and you can have it in your house. And if you can have it in your house, halachically could also benefit from it. So it's only an issue in terms of eating it, but benefiting is not an issue. So even though generally you can't eat, you can't benefit, because you can't eat, you can't benefit from chametz. But when it comes to the medications, even the one that's, like we said, is a real issue, the chametz that's, you took edible chametz and you mixed it into other ingredients, and now because of that, it's not edible. It's only for medicinal purposes. And we said, well, you're not supposed to take the medicine. You know, it's considered eating chametz. But in terms of benefiting, it's not an issue because in essence, it's not really. It's Alter Rebbe says it lost the appearance of chametz. We don't view it as chametz. You can keep it in your house. You could benefit. Eating, no, because eating. Why are you taking this chametz? Why are you taking this medication? I need the medication. Well, the chametz is an active ingredient that's inside. The chametz was edible before you put it inside. So now you are being machshav, you're giving importance to this chametz that's inside, and now it's considered like food for you. So now you can't eat it because of your action, because you have an interest in this. But otherwise, essentially, the way it is by itself, this doesn't look like food. It doesn't, no one's interested in eating it, has no appearance of chametz. It's not food. Oh, but it's medicine. Oh, the person interested in taking medicine, for him, he can't eat it because now he has an interest because the chametz that's in there means something to him. So now it gets the name of chametz on it for him. Yeah.
Motion, for example, have a coating or wheat in it, because we beat it down, that we be very.
So these are all chumra, these are all stringencies, because like we said, you can have it in your possession, you can benefit from it. It boils down to a chumra, to a stringency. That's like everything else. We're machmir. If you can get something else, why not be machmir? There is an opinion that says, but we don't paskin like that. There's such an opinion that says that smearing for pleasure is like drinking. So you have it by Yom Kippur, such a thing. You can't smear for pleasure. So if he will be smearing it for pleasure, he's not even smearing it for pleasure. He was smearing for pleasure. Then there's such an opinion, and we don't go by that anyway. Practically, there's no issue halachically with all these lotions. It boils down to, do you want to be machmir? Could you buy something else for Pesach, and you'll be okay with it? If you feel you're going on the Siddur Nefesh and your whole Pesach and you're using, the Pesach shampoo is a shampoo that's like, you know what I mean? It's, but some people could deal with it and some people can't. It's like it's like eating chametz nuksha. The chametz nuksha, the heart of the chametz is shampoo nuksha. Kidding. I think I don't know the term shampoo nuksha. I'm just saying it's like for some people they can't handle it. So if you can't handle it, al pi halacha, you could use the other shampoos. I mean, but yeah, what do I personally recommend? I recommend we should try to be machmir. We should be strict. If you could find another shampoo, but a lot of the shampoos, and you have it. Yeah, because I'll give you they have a whole list over here. I give you the list, give you the general company. Just give you an example. When it comes to where's the shampoos? They have a whole list. Where is it? Give you the company name.
No, you should get a book in the
For
door.
example, hair care, right? Hair care. That hair care shampoo, or that's something else? Hair care.
Mine was from England.
Hair care. So hair care, yes, shampoo, yes.
And also, if you go to Crown
Company-
Royal, they have everything that's.
So here they have the company Avida, a bunch of shampoos under Avida. Then a bunch of shampoos under Bumble and Bumble. A bunch of shampoos. So you see, there are companies that are Selsun, a lot of them are good. Pantene, they have like almost 10 of them, 8 of them that are good. So you can look through it later, you'll see what it's, then you have for any product that you need, you can look through it afterwards. The makeup, they have Avida, Bobby, brushes, Clinic, I don't know it's pronounced. Clinic, a bunch of product, there's a lot. Then they have Esty, a lot of products, the company Esty, a lot of products from Mac Fix, so there's a lot of, these are all good. Some are not. If you want to look through it later, you'll see exactly what you know. Toothpaste, you have AIM, Aquafresh is good, Arm & Hammer. No, nothing this yet. In 3 years it will, but they don't change. I think it changes, there's no reason why it would change. besides that, halachically, they're being strict over here, right? So, okay, yeah. Oh, any other questions? Now, another interesting thing is paper plates. So paper plates, we avoid using paper plates. Again, there's also, it's a chumrah, it's a stringency. Paper plates for wet or hot foods. It's a good thing to avoid it. Why? Because they put cornstarch in the paper plates, and we don't use cornstarch in Pesach. So if it's wet and hot, it absorbs. Now, just to understand, when it comes to kidneys, it becomes nullified in the majority. So that's why, again, going back for a moment to vitamins and medications, especially medications, if it has kidneys in there, cornstarch or all these things, they become nullified in the majority. And that's why it's usually much less of an issue. But this is something that's good to be strict to avoid using paper plates for wet or hot. If it's cold and dry, there's no issue at all. Comes to alcohol. Most alcohols is not a problem. The only alcohol that could be a problem is rubbing alcohol is not chametz. It's not nothing to do. It's no chametz at all. The only alcohol that could be a problem is the ethanol, or short version is ethyl. The word ethanol alcohol. That could be, and usually it's not, because in the U.S. they make it from corn or something else. They don't make it. It's from kidneys. It's not an issue. Not eating. It's a lot of. By the way, kidneys. You're a lot of benefits directly. There's no issue with kidneys in terms of benefiting. There's never an issue. Nothing to do with because you need to. It's not edible. No, you're allowed to benefit from kidneys directly. So the ethanol alcohol could be a problem if you get if the alcohol comes out of the outside of the U.S. Sometimes they use grain alcohol, but in the U.S. it's mostly corn because it's cheaper. Yeah. So the classical example of the olden days was when they would light with oil. So the oil, they used oil from different things. They can use oil from corn oil, things like that. So you can have a candle burning using kidneys because you're not eating it, you're just benefiting. And you can apply in any situation, anytime. For sure, there's no issue when it comes to oils, ointments, lotions, all these things. If there's kidneys in the lotions, oh, you have a lotion, there's corn, oh, I can't cook. You're not eating it, just don't eat it. Yeah. Coconut oil is not a big thing, not kidneys. There's also cottonseed oil, but according to many opinions, it's not, even though it's cottonseed, like seeds, kidneys, like sesame seeds, need pumpkin seeds, it's called cottonseed. But according to many opinions, it's comes from the Yaakov Lambert from Israel. He posted that it's not kidneys, and they have companies in United States that make kosher place of cottonseed oil. A lot of people who don't want to use products, they use schmaltz, right? The fat of the chicken. Now, they like it, it's not healthy, whatever, but there are people who will not use any oils, any board oils. We discussed that already. But buying in company products, there are people who have a stringency to avoid it, and they use schmaltz. Not saying you have to do it, but saying you can do that. But there is olive oil is okay, coconut oil, cottonseed oil. Olive oil is definitely better than cottonseed oil, because there are some that may be strict with cottonseed oil, but it's accepted that cottonseed oil is not considered kidneys. Rose hip oil, and what it's done. The seed, it's a plant. The seed. You ready? It's like a berry. It's seeds inside?
Yeah.
The apple also has seeds. So I'm asking, what makes it a seed? Everything has seeds. It's a berry, it's a seed, it's like a tomato. And it's seeds inside. It's no problem. You know? Cucumbers have seeds, pepper has seeds. What about, no, that's not an issue, yeah, sure. And yeah. Yeah. A lot of people like to put avocado on the matzo on pizza. There's always a discussion, could you put avocado, could you not put avocado, because you don't make the matzo wet? And the answer is, you could put avocado in the matzo. There are those that are strict, they don't allow it at home because they're concerned that you might not be so careful and you're gonna use a knife. Cut the avocado, the knife was wet, you put it on a plate, the plate could be wet, you know. But if you could be 1,000% careful, make sure everything is dry. Avocado is dry, the knife is dry, the plate is dry, everything is dry. And there's absolutely no problem. You have avocado on the matzo, there's no issue. There's no issue of the breath. What? I generally think those who are careful with the breath, that the matzah should not get wet, so they are careful that it should not get wet with anything, right? But you're saying fruit, actually, fruit juice is also not a problem. Pure fruit juice is no issue also. The matzah. You're saying with avocado, if you're using a wet knife, there's wetness over there. You rinse off the knife, you rinse the plate, you put avocado, and you're cutting the avocado, there's water there too. If you're careful with the blocks, you're not going to use avocado on your matzah if the knife is wet and the plate is wet.
Auto and the pieces of have high water. Why do
Isn't
you
it? So according to you're saying that fruit juice has water content.
Yeah.
So it's okay. But in halacha, in terms of the ability to make chametz, fruit juice cannot force something to become chametz. That means if you make a dough of flour and pure fruit juice, it cannot become chametz. Halachically, the Chacham don't allow us to use egg matzah unless you need to, but essentially it cannot become chametz. So there's no problem at all halachically if you want to take the matzah. If you, let's say, like to eat matzah dipped in a grapefruit, a lemon juice, you know, just give me an example. So you take a dry knife, dry plate, and you cut the onion, you cut the lemon, and you have lemon juice, and you dip the matzah in lemon juice. There's no problem whatsoever. Actually, it says that Rebbe Shab will dip his matzah in wine. I'm like, what? Yeah, yes. It's not because the wine that he used was pure wine. Brown, he made sure that it was pure, literally, that the bowels were dry, everything was dry. And well, we don't do it because you get wine from the store, you don't know exactly if there's no, even though it says no water added, but the bottles could have been wet before they put in the wine. How do you know exactly? But if you know 1,000% that there's no water in it at all, there's no issue. But cheese has water in it. I don't know. I think it does. I'm almost sure it has water. Yeah. Look at the ingredients. It says water. The ingredients would say water. Yeah. They put water in it.
Meaning, no.
It becomes watery. No, but if
Oh,
they
no,
don't put it
you're
in
right.
water,
No, they put water in.
They put water and ask them and they pour in the
there you
milk.
go. And that's water, exactly. Nice. Anything that's pure, there's no issue. But again, so, those who are careful, we have to understand what other people do also. We're not saying, I'm not here coming to say that, oh, there's no problem at all, and those who do it, don't know what you're doing. I'm not saying that. There is reason for that also, because if you care with the rocks and you allow avocado nuts, and if some are concerned that it can get out of hand, because that means, that people aren't so conscious of everything we do that, oh, I'm cutting an avocado now, I have to make sure the knife is dry. Before you cut an avocado all year round, you make sure the knife is dry. It doesn't make, so now you have to be careful all these things, and so the concern that people won't be so careful. So there is reason why people, not everyone wants to allow their house that the children can put avocado on the matzah, because now you have to stop, make sure, let it dry, the knife is dry, the avocado is dry, the avocado is sitting on the counter. If the avocado is sitting on the counter, you didn't realize, you took an avocado, before you cut avocado, you check the avocado is dry, why would you do that all year round? There's a lot of things you have to like be aware of, that some don't want to allow it, but for yourself, if you know what you're doing, and be careful, everything is dry, no problem, avocado or nothing. There's no reason why to restrict, for yourself at least, if you know what you're doing. Any questions?
They look like they. That's what I'm thinking.
The thing about not using spice and things. I believe it's the same, like, I didn't look into it specifically, but I believe it's the same like with dried foods. There's a custom not to use dried foods because back in the days they would mix the flour with water and sprinkle them when you dry the fruits. Another details over there, but it could be the spices. There's a concern of chametz, but if you know, if you know 1,000%, I think correct, 100% sure that it's fine. I'll pay a lot of it's going to be a problem, but I think there's according to the custom that we peel everything, then the issue with the spices, how do you peel it, right? I assume that can also be the issue. It all boils down to, stringency for Pesach. Yeah, that's the thing. If you grow it yourself, yeah, I think that's a great idea. Yeah, that's definitely like the best way to do it. You grow it yourself, you know exactly. If you grow it yourself, then I would say if you grow it yourself, then the issue of peeling should not be an issue because you're growing it yourself. So you have to, and you can control your garden, who's going there, who's touching it, let's say fenced thing, no kids are going there with cookies. So I would see that, so now you are like looking over it from the beginning to end, like almost like the matzah that we have, Shmura Mishas Tzid, it's guarded the time of the harvest, it's like, it's being guarded from the beginning, I think that should be fine.
I'd like, oh, you know what, like, bird flies over and off bread or a mouse carrying something. I'm like, where does the
Bird carrying bread?
Where does that make
When it comes to stringencies, there's no end. I mean, no, I'm not saying the negative way specifically. No, especially when it comes to Pesach, there are many stringencies. And could be some people still be strict and say maybe someone dropped something over it. I mean, just happened to drop right over that place, the bird flying. I mean, if someone still wants to be strict, it can be strict, but I'm saying that this is like, I think this is like a very good way of doing it. Yeah. Yeah, any questions? Okay, so tomorrow's the last day, so tomorrow we're gonna finish up everything we need to discuss. Okay, huh? Let's still talk a little bit more about serious amen. Anything that we don't, look at serious thing itself, what we don't do in serious thing there. The other things that maybe last few days, we talk about Chametz a little bit, the lots of Chametz, there's a lot to talk about. Anyone wants to take a look at this, Friday? Wanna look for something that you need? Maybe just take pictures of the whole thing.
But not on something that comes to the week.
Yeah,
But going back to how much you should eat. You mind just saying that number, certain,
oh, and the matzah, yeah.
like the weight of my.
Yeah. Oh, the weight or the amount of the matzah?
Well, the amount, I don't, like, what the design, like. I know
The
the,
weight?
how many pieces, but yeah,
You wanna know the weight, right?
yeah,
So 3 matzahs, right?
yeah.